Hello friends, how are you? Hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're going to jump into the topic of procrastination, perfectionism, and a new concept that has been introduced in between of these two words, and that is the fragile identity concept. So make sure you stick to the end of this video so that you can understand the mechanisms that are behind why we do what we do and why we don't do what we don't do at the time that we have to do, and why do we postpone the things that we have to do and finally we don't do. Might be a little bit confusing, but as we go through the video, you're going to find out that the things and the knots on themselves are going to disentangle, and we're going to have a way better look and a structured idea of what is procrastination, what is perfectionism, and why this fragile identity concept comes very much in play in what we're going to talk about in this video. So make sure you stick till the end, and here we go with the video. Number one, procrastination is treated as if it is the core issue. Most of the time, procrastination is not the core of the issue, and trust me, it's going to be probably 0.0001% of the times that it's going to be the case. Procrastination is treated as poor habits, bad management, a quirk of personality, whatever that might mean. And also comes the concept of perfectionism. Now, perfectionism is also treated as one of the causes of procrastination. But on the contrary, I would say so that procrastination and perfectionism come from a different background. In fact, I would argue that procrastination and perfectionism are quite much the same, and they have the same psychological mechanisms, and they actually come from the same concept. They are both downstream symptoms of one core issue, that is the fragile identity concept. Now, parse out, what is the fragile identity concept? The fragile identity concept is the human beings believe, the very beginning of our childhood, as far as our memory goes, that we are competent humans, that we are competent, can do the things that we want to do. Why do you think the children are very creative, they're very intuitive, they're very into their body, and they're very aware? It's actually because they have the concept of being competent. Why do you think that for every child, a dream is a dream that can be achieved? It's not quite much the same for adults. Have you heard about that? Adults think of objectives or dreams as concrete stuff that probably can never be achieved. Not quite much the same for children. It's because the children have this identity of competence. They can achieve something, and as they put their head into those things, they can achieve them little by little. But you can look at them as they grow up trying to walk. They do actually learn to walk after many attempts, and that gives them a feedback loop of understanding that they can actually learn stuff and achieve them. Now, as we grow, we do have this mentality carried with us from childhood, from the time that we are a toddler, from the time that we are probably in our adolescence. But one thing comes quite much in our way that we have not planned. I think it was a quote from somebody, probably was a very important person, who said everybody has a plan until they get slapped in the face. I think it was Mike Tyson. So as we go through life, we're going to encounter situations that we are probably incapable of handling, and thus becomes the first sin. Let's call it the apple of Eden, conveniently. And that experience goes on and on with us. Just like a knot that you have probably in your muscle, it might as well persist about 10 to 15 years if you do not really treat it to be exactly the same. And here is where we go back to the concept of fragile identity. We are protecting that fragile identity of competence in order to save ourselves from feeling quite the opposite. If the task that we have at hand is determining our core value, whether we are worthy or not, the very result of the same task can actually determine our value. So our psyche tries to outsource that into not doing it, and also stop us from doing something that destroys that mental framework of which we are working for, and of which we are so scared. And so that's why I actually would like to post this video with no camera, with no lighting. Actually, the background is quite messy as well. I did not even bother myself to make it refined or anything like that. So to prove a point that the more we try to perfect things, is actually we are avoiding to see what's going to happen. We are avoiding our childlike spirits going into the wild, doing the thing that we have to do, and get the result or not get the result. We have never seen a child that falls down on the ground and then decides to stop trying to walk, because that's how the process of walking is. You have to learn it by failure and error and adjustment. So this is pretty much it. We're going to wrap it up here, but I would like to go back to the concept of fragile identity and kind of consolidate it again within the framework of this video. Since this is a video that I'm uploading after probably more than 4 years, I would like you to consolidate this information into a way that is useful for you, that you can take mini steps, that you can make measurable progress and mini steps and mini actions on your daily basis. Now, primary concepts. Neither procrastination nor perfectionism are actually the core issues. They come from way deeper psychological pathways. They both come from the very identity that we have grown up with. And that identity is that of competence. And we do not want to make that fragile identity go away by making a mistake, by having to go through a failure that will eventually bring that self-worth of ours down, bring it low so that we feel bad about ourselves, because somehow, somewhere we have learned that the results of such activity or that task that you have at hand is going to be determining your self-value. So we do our best to not do actions in order to get away from the consequences of ourselves feeling. So as you may have noticed, it's all about maintaining that self-image, and actually self-image is what propels us to do what we do and what we don't do in our daily basis. And working on that self-image, we can come up to set our goals, achieve them, or not achieve them, because it's all about self-image, that portray of ourselves inside our mind. And that self-image comes from the story that we tell ourselves. And on that note, we're going to finish this video. Hope that was helpful. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also leave down a comment below if you have found this video interesting. And I would also like you to drop a comment down below if you actually liked the video, it was worth your time, and if I have actually made the concepts more clear for you of why we do what we do and why we don't do what we don't. And hope to see you next time. Thank you very much, and peace.